Anyways, next up we have Bloodletting by KORAII. This is a, what's it called? A Geometry Dash track. Not official, but one of those. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I am a professionally trained musician, a composer. My objective here is to explain things in a way that you don't have to be one to understand what's happening here musically. If you're watching this on the video archive, if you like the sound of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. Keep in mind, this is recorded live on stream and I have never heard this track before, so I'm going to be pausing a lot as I will be pointing things out as I hear them. Also keep in mind, as I said, this is recorded live on stream on a single take. Meaning, yeah, I might stumble upon my words here and there, especially right now. As of this video, my left shoulder is hurting a lot, so I might get distracted by that. But with that being said, let's do this. Let's do this. Bloodletting. Let's see. Halo, welcome to the day. We'll see. Eventually. Okay. Okay, I like this. We started with a very faint, very faint atmospheric synth. Then we brought in this first motif. Motif being the smallest version of your musical idea. A very nice arpeggio over there. Arpeggio is when you play a chord one note at a time. And we took it from, we're taking it from there. We're having a bass now coming in slowly. It's a very nice way of introducing things. Because, again, as I've said many times, you want to make sure you introduce things at a good pace. And so that you can instill a sense of familiarity with the listener. Because if you introduce too many things at the same time, you risk the listener getting overwhelmed, tuning out. And if you take too long or you don't give enough variation, you risk the listener getting bored, tuning out. So let's see where this goes. I'll explain that, Kevin. Remind me after this. Okay, so we're having a variation. We had a little variation over there at the end with that little flare at the end. We're adding a couple of extra chords. It's a very lovely slow burn. Considering its geometry dash, it's nice to see a slow burn of we're 18 seconds in and we still let's see. Oh, there we go. A little bit of drums. Oh, that's really cool. I like the phased out bass. And we're using a bass here. Less points for using a pick on a guitar on a bass, but hey man. That still sounds fun. That still sounds fun. Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not gonna really I don't really care if you use a pick for a bass guitar or not. It just sounds different, and if you want that sound of a bass being picked with a pick, you do you. Just don't tell Charles Berthoud. All right, let's see where we go. Because now we're introducing what could be the actual motif. Because at the start it was more of an intro. It was an accompaniment. Let's see if this is the actual motif, or in this case, since it is played by a band instrument, like as in band instrument, this would be a riff. The difference between a riff and a motif is that a motif is more on the classical music side and it refers to the main melody or the main musical idea from which everything else comes from. The most notorious example of all of history, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Ba-ba-ba-bum. That's the motif. 45 full minutes of music come entirely from just that. The whole thing. A riff is a version of a motif played on something like a guitar or a bass or a keyboard, even that, something like that, that is more interchangeable with accompaniment as opposed to the main focus of the track, of the piece. So, let's see where this goes. Very cool drums. I like the synth in the back accentuating the downbeat. Downbeat, of course, being the first note of your measure. We've done this many times, but for the new people, a time signature, your measure, is being measured by time signatures. Top number, number of notes. Lower number, the type of notes. In English, super easy. whole notes is 1, half notes is 2, quarter notes is 4, eighth notes is 8, so on and so forth. So in this case, 4, 4, 4 quarter notes make a measure. The measure is just an arbitrary amount of space. And in this case, we have 4 quarter notes in a measure, and the downbeat would be the first note of each individual measure. So when it comes to 4/4, it's all about counting. It's all about counting, and you count from 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the downbeat is going to be 1 almost every time. Or every time. The downbeat is going to be 1. You can have like a smaller, softer downbeat on like 2 or 3 or 4. You can always have different interpretations of that, but the first one of the measure is always going to be a downbeat. And in this case, what we are doing is we are having this very cool synth playing the downbeat that marks the start of the riff. It's a very cool way of accentuating, hey, we're here now. So, let's see. It's so cool. Yeah, it's such a simple ensemble. We have this really cool bass, which it still blows my mind that you're playing this with a guitar pick. But it's got a really cool sound thanks to that. Then we're having the synth and then the drums. And the drums are like this is not electronic. This is an ensemble. That's like, I mean, you can emulate these nowadays, but this sounds like it's just 3 guys jamming. It's really cool. Alright, there we go. And as a new variation, we have added a new layer of a second synth doing a just small scale. It sounds like a variation of the notes we heard at the start from that first synth, but they're a little bit on the lower register. Type of recapitulation, which, you know, it's very useful. Never waste the musical ideas that you have. Let's see where you take this. I really like this. Every number of repetitions, you just add another layer to this. We are still in the first musical idea of this whole thing, after the intro, of course. And we're just building on top of it. We're just building on top of it. A little bit more every time. This is awesome. Global, welcome to the day. How you doing? Because now we have that guitar at the back as well. We just added that one to just accentuate more. Or no, it could be a synth? It could be another synth. No, it sounds like a guitar doing feedback. But yeah, you can see how everything... This is a really cool thing. You just... The central focus is the bass and the drums doing the riff. And they're just doing straight up repetition. There's no sequencing, no inversions, nothing like that. They are just completely repeating everything. It's too hot. Hey man, it's way too hot. Summertime. So yeah, we're just having the bass and the drums just keeping us in what in classical music would be called an ostinato. Ostinato, as opposed to a pedal tone / note or a drone, is the entire musical idea being repeated over and over. And in this case, it's the riff. It's just being repeated over and over and over again. The same riff by the drums and the bass. And this is being kept fresh by just adding variation on top, because we are almost halfway through this track. I have yet to get bored by this bass line because of everything else that is being built around it. Because every couple of repetitions, something else is changing. So it's a very creative way of doing what in music we call just less is more. Less is more. Okay, there we go. We went from bass to guitar. Bass to guitar, let's see. Fell to listening, yep. Now the bass is playing a variation of what the guitar just played. The focus has shifted. Okay, so we have now officially entered section B. So when it comes to music, the form, this is the classical term, the form or the structure of your track can be easily measured. You know, we had a little intro, then we had section A. Now we've moved on to section B, which in and of itself had a small intro, but basically we are doing a contrast. What's a good contrast between sections A and B here? Instead of it being the bass, now it was the guitar. Instead of the main focus being the bass, now it's the synths. You want to make sure that you are still keeping a good chunk of the elements that people are already familiar with. You don't want to fully introduce new material. This is one of the mistakes that bands such as like gent, in genres such as gent make, that they are just constantly introducing new material over and over again, completely unrelated riffs, completely unrelated musical ideas that they are just tied together with like musical duct tape, right? So it's a very, very risky thing to do for genres like that. You always want to keep some part of things, some part of this. You always want to keep some part of this tied together. You always want to tie things together. And in this case, we are keeping a very similar drum beat. We're keeping a similar bass line. And we introduced the idea with the guitar, then we moved over with the bass. And that's where we're going, right? So let's see where they take this. Yeah, well, now we have the bass line is simpler now. Okay, and we're actually moving from chord to chord now. Nice. So yeah, as you saw in the first part, it was mainly just the same chords being played over and over by the bass, which was a really, really cool thing. Now we're making sure that we're actually moving between chords, we're actually moving that bass line around, and at the same time we're adding more and more things to the surrounding. This is really cool, man. Let's see. And we have that initial motif that we heard in one of these synths. I think it's more on the left here. Oh no, it's center. It's center. It's just... So yeah, we have that very, very from the very beginning, the intro, that very first little set of arpeggios that we heard before the first track, before the first section, before the A section in the intro. We're hearing it again, and it's being sequenced. And this is a very... Sequencing is a term used in counterpoint or melodic development, motivic development, where it just means you are doing the same thing in a different starting point. So, for example, this motif that we're having is just going this way, basically. And we're arpeggiating a chord going this way upwards. Really, really simple, really straightforward. And when we sequence it, we say, okay, we're doing this whole thing again, but instead of starting on the same note, we're going to start a little bit higher. And now we've created a sequence, and we can continue doing that over and over and over again as many times as we want, until we get bored of it or we swap to something else. So there you go. That is called sequencing, and that's what this other thing is doing, is taking that initial idea that we heard and it's developing it a little bit more, giving it a very, very nice opportunity to shine. So we are having motifs and riffs being used at the same time here. It's really, really cool. Bass. And we have active panning. We have some panning going on. Panning, of course, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, panning is something that we do nowadays, especially since standard nowadays is stereo speakers. You have the left ear, you have the right ear or speakers, then you have the listener, you know, look at you, all here. Very nice, happy, deformed, bald, therefore evil. And you have two types. These are colloquial terms. By the way, colloquial terms means... Hang on my shoulder. Colloquial terms just means there's no official academic word for this or term, or at least I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use my version of the terms to illustrate my point better. So when it comes to panning, I call two different types. Active versus passive. So passive panning is we decide to just put the guitar sounding on the right ear, and that's it. So to achieve panning, you just need to turn down the volume of the specific track on the speaker. So if you want a guitar or let's say a guitar track to sound only on the right ear, you put at least more percentage volume-wise on the right ear than you do on the left ear. And that is passive panning. You just set that up at the start, and that's it. And right now, what we did is active. We took that sample of the bass playing that last note, we spliced it, and we had it bounce back and forth between the left and the right ear, causing active panning, making it sound like it's teleporting back and forth between the two ears. It's such a cool thing to do. It's tricky to get right when it comes to some of these things, but it's really, really cool. Let's continue. Jalen's welcome today. How you doing? Variation of the very first riff that we heard. Okay, so yeah, we are having now a very, very odd way of bringing the A prime, because this isn't entirely new material. The bass line is doing, again, the ostinato. It's doing a variation of what we heard earlier. It's just a little bit higher up in the scale, and the structure is pretty much the same for it. We are still having the synth or the keyboard playing those downbeats, and now we've reintroduced the drum to this. So this is an A, B, A prime. A prime just means it's a variation. The prime is just the apostrophe here that we put to symbolize that there is a variation. It's a very simple variation, but overall the musical ideas are pretty much the same as the ones we saw in A. They're just being done a little bit differently. Not differently enough to merit it being something like a section C, but it's still, the drum beat is pretty much the same. But given now that, yes, we have the bass going back to the ostinato, we brought in the guitar doing the ostinato as well, doing a doubling. Doubling is just when more than one instrument plays the same thing. Let's see where this goes. Excuse me. Oh, that's really cool. Oh! Oh, and we bring one of the best ways of doing a climax. You just bring back a bunch of the stuff that you've been doing throughout the entire piece, and that's it. That's it. You just bring as much of the material that you've used and explored, and just use it as at once in a way that fits. And in this case, we are doing an inversion of the origin of the first motif. You know, the motif that was going upwards? We are doing what is called an inversion. When it comes to motific development, you can have, as I said, an inversion, which just means you are flipping the motif vertically. So now instead of it being an arpeggio going up, it's an arpeggio going down. And that's it. There are other things that you can do, like for example, you can do a retrograde, which is just the same motif going backwards. Retrograde inversion is the inverted motif going backwards. Those are the four main alterations that you can do of basically mirroring the motif. But now we are having this echo reflection inversion. Yeah, it's like an inversion of A, where we had the bass player, now it's on the bass is now higher on the register. Now we have the guitar going in, which is always kind of like a mirror image to a bunch of the things here. It's a very, very cool way of doing it. Let's see. Yeah, and we're adding a bunch of the adornments that we had for the original one. How are you gonna end this, though? How are you gonna end this? Yes. Yes! Yes! Okay, so with this, we have used another colloquial term that I like to use, which is, I like to call going off the ramp. If you want to slow things down, and you want to give you this sense of, we are now suspended up in the air, what is going to happen? Take away the drums. That's it. We went from the drums going a full beat to playing only the downbeat. We also took away, I think, the synth. No, the synth is still there. But now the drums is just playing the downbeat. Now it's not anymore. Okay, so yeah, we removed one layer at a time, and now we have this... What? Almost completely unrelated. A very weird version... Oh my god, it was a version of the... It was a combination of the riff played by the bass and the motif being used throughout the this whole part, giving you this whole sense of this is completely new, but at the same time it is not. I was like, this is... You didn't just introduce something completely different to use for 3 seconds and then let go of, right? No, it turns out it was this like echo of both of the motifs and riffs that we heard throughout the entire thing, repeated it a couple of times, and then just let it fade away. That's part of the mirror makes the song weird. It makes it feel weird because it's using a sample we didn't hear, using a combination of the material that we heard in a way that we hadn't heard it before. Very risky move. Terracopter, welcome to the day. How you doing? Very, very risky move. Absolutely a very risky move. I think it worked. It was a very cool way of like having this like echo of the ending, because he did finish the track. He finished the track, and then we had this weird echo of it that makes you question, okay, is there going to be more? Is there more? Is there not? Which is one of the things that you want to do as a musician. It left me wanting more. Is his signature move. There you go. It left me wanting more. I am absolutely letting the next song play, kind of thing. So there you go. That was Bloodletting by KORAII, a geometry dash track. Jesus, I am way too distracted today. That is not a Freudian slip. That is not a Freudian. A geometry dash track. I am not gonna live this down, am I? There you go. Bloodletting. That was really fun. That was a really fun track. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd LFA Layman-Friendly analysis. I'm a composer and professionally trained musician, and I hope I have explained things in a way that you don't have to be one to understand what has happened here musically. Once again, if you want to listen to this track completely without me interrupting every 2 seconds, link will be available down below. Wow, I can't speak today. And if you want to request a track and you're not watching this on the live stream, go to the Discord, LFA channel, drop the YouTube link of the song that you want over there. Gaming tracks only, geometry dash is accepted, mods are accepted, that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you're watching this on the video archive, make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. And if you want to catch these streams live, links available in the description to the Twitch channel as well as the Discord channel. They both have the stream schedule showing in your local time zones so that you can plan accordingly without having to do calculations and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you for watching. Really good stuff. Bloodletting, KORAII. That was really, really good. But yeah, let's